Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Divinely Guided podcast. I'm your host, Carly Nicole, and today is a very, very special episode. We are in part 2 of episode 2. I am very excited to introduce my special guest today. Special guest? Who are you? It is Paulina. She is my best friend, okay? This girl, straight from Iowa. She is straight from Iowa, and we are remote. We are recording in, yes, 2 separate places of the country.
Yeah, literally. 2 different time zones.
So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about synchronicities and ancestral guidance. We're going to be sharing stories, and hopefully you all will get closure or answers, or maybe it's still an unfamiliar topic. Maybe it's still a touchy topic when we express about the other side, about the 5D, about our ancestors being in a different playing field than us. It's not something that a lot of us are comfortable talking about. So I do want to fair warn those. If you are listening in right now and you have recently lost someone, I want to say my condolences to you. And hopefully, maybe in this episode, you can get a little bit of insight as to knowing that your ancestors, your guides, they are there. They are there watching over you, and they are your guardian angels. So know that if you feel like someone's presence is with you, it's because they are. Every now and then, you guys already know, as you can see, I've got my phone just to make sure that we stay on track. We are going to be talking about the synchronicities. When I join this journey, my self-love journey, this spiritual journey, I started noticing a lot of patterns.
It's almost to the point to where you want to ignore it and question your sanity, because it's like, in a way, there's just no way that all of this is lining up the way that it is. But I'm a firm believer in there are no such thing as coincidences. So I've learned to just kind of override the thought process that society puts in us and just say, well, if it's there, it's because I need to pay attention, I need to slow down. Or what I like to do is just, like I said, just concentrate on what the moment is trying to teach me, so.
I think that's very insightful, and I totally agree with that, because for some time now, being that I feel that I chose this path, there are so many things that are just constantly being thrown in your face, and it's trying them, as in, your guides or your ancestors, trying to wake you up, and even your higher self. A little bit of background on the both of us. We've been friends for a very long time. We've been in each other's lives. We have watched each other grow from adolescent stage all the way to our adult stage now. And the growing pains and the things that we didn't see or understand growing up in this generational time, those timelines versus what we see now, and how we're being led through our path with these synchronicities, or as I call them, like the little spiritual gifts and breadcrumbs that get left to us so that we may follow and choose a path. I think that no path chosen is ever really wrong. I mean, yes, there are a lot of negative things that can come with what you are choosing at a young age. We know right from wrong because we're being taught that. So carrying these things into our adulthood and knowing that each decision that we make, it's not only just us leading us, but it's also our ancestors leading and guiding us. And sometimes we think that we're down the wrong path, or that we have made mistakes. And my last episode, I said it's going to take about 10, 20 times for some people to really see or really come to knowing.
You could even get it in this lifetime.
And you know what? That's another thing too. We get sent here, whether you believe it or not. Like I've said in my earlier episodes, it doesn't matter what you believe as long as you believe in yourself. But for this topic today, what we're discussing is that we truly believe that there is energy out there. There is a higher power out there, whether it be our ancestors, higher ups, as I would call them, the council that leads us. the archangels when we go to sleep and we see these things in dreams, and we can't always decipher what is actually happening or what's going on. And I don't know about you, but was there ever a time in your life that you felt like you were being led down astray, and then you felt like, I really need to call out, or what do I do? How do I do it?
Girl, there have been several times in my life where I feel like my own life choices had put me in a four corner where there was nowhere for me to go, and we can talk about how how I recently felt like this. So in 2023, I'd say that was probably one of the hardest years of my adult life, I would say, because I would start school, not finish, and I feel like I was doing a lot of people pleasing rather than trying to just live the life that I wanted to live. It was so much so to the point to where I ended up having to move out of the only place I ever knew, which was California. And the decisions that we want to make, we feel it right in our center. We know that the decisions and the ideas that we have are for us, but for whatever reason, we don't always act on them. And this was one of the things that I went back and forth with myself for a long time as to whether or not I wanted to move out of state to start my career. Because for people who are not familiar with California, the prices are high for everything. And as like a person that was a single parent at the time, it was just not ideal to stay in. So I feel like I was being guided to move somewhere else, and now that I am here, I have the dream job that I wanted for so long, and now what's next for me? Because as far as my journey goes, I'm never happy with where I end up at. Like, not in that way where I'm like unsatisfied with where I was guided to, but more like, okay, now that I've reached this level, what else is next? I'm always looking to move up, and I feel like people often lose sight of that when they are complacent where life has brought them, or the journey that they have taken for themselves. And I feel like it's important to never be satisfied, to always want more, because there is more. The world is yours. You can be as spiritual as you want, or you can be as Wall Street as you want. The truth.
Preach.
That's the truth of it. Like, and like what you said about energy being everywhere, it is everywhere.
Hmm.
It's in the ground, it's in the air, it's everywhere. So I feel like if you acknowledge that, then the energy will also acknowledge you. And I feel like as I don't want to be like one of those pull the race card or anything like that, but I feel like being a brown person also plays into that. You know what I mean? Because of our
Yes.
ancestors and what our journey our ancestors took to get us here. It's just, girl, it is a lot. But like I said, as long as it's acknowledged, it will acknowledge you and work in the favor for you.
Hmm.
It's a give and take. It's a 50-50. It won't turn unless the other part turns with it. So it's all a part of one thing.
Just as your friend and watching you grow, it's just been an honor. Paulina was saying that there is always more. If you become comfortable where you're at, eventually you're going to be upset about the what if that you never actually put into action. And I think what's very beautiful and also chaotic about this life experience, what I believe in, the chakras and energy and things of that nature. This is a vessel. Our spirit, our energy, it's residing in this skin, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when we go to sleep and where we travel, geez, the places that I've gone since finding and knowing who my spiritual guide is, and I refer to him as a masculine energy, and where he has led me up into this point where I have also led myself with certain dreams and synchronicities. I definitely want to get into a longer story later, but let's quickly run over the angel numbers. This has been a very popular thing that has come up as of the past, I would say, 3 years.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
with the spike of COVID, there was really nothing for anybody to do but to invest in themselves.
Yeah, and start looking into different ways to also self-help and self-improve, which is the whole start of this meaning of this podcast as well.
Mhm.
But I don't know about you, but if you want to show off your angel numbers, I got some angel numbers right here, girl. Oh
Girl,
yes,
we
queen.
are
Woo!
committed to this spiritual life. My
Yes,
my
yes.
wrist not wristing. There we go.
So yes, lots of people have angel numbers tatted on them. Lots of people wear the angel numbers around necklaces, bracelets. But what does it all mean? When you are seeing 111, that is the meaning of manifestation. When you are seeing 222, that is to come back to self and be in alignment. 333 is support from your guides, your ancestors, or whatever energy is around you during that time. Maybe it's support within yourself. 444 is protection. It's the ultimate protection from your ancestors, from your guides. 555 is change within everything, just accepting change as a whole, even though that's a touchy one, okay? Because a lot of people, a lot of people are afraid of this number. Well, we talk about this right now. I just want everyone to know that they do not need to be afraid of 666. 666, in our belief of spirituality, it means to reflect. It means that we need to sit on what it is that we have been going through as of recently and reflect on that and learn the lessons like you had just mentioned earlier. There's a lot of life lessons that are getting thrown at us that are very important for us to really see and understand what's going on to grow. 777 is the lucky number. It's not also just for luck. 777 has to do with wealth. 777 for me, I would say I lean more into luck than actual wealth. With that being said, it's not to say that you can't ever have money or that you're always going to be, I don't really like using this word, but BROKE. You know, it's an energy, it's a flow, because 888 is abundance. And the things that I've learned from what I said in my last episode, that the true meaning of abundance is happiness. Wealth and material things can only get you so far. Health is wealth, mind, body, and soul in that order. 999 is the release. You let go. There are many other reasons why you could also be seeing numbers like this as well. In my cases, my stories, I think for years, 222 was attached to me. For what reason, I don't still understand, but yes, I kind of have an idea as to why it was. I was being led down some sort of path that got me here in this moment right now to be able to come onto this podcast and say what I need to say to help people in general. I was led all the way here. And for a while, I didn't really recognize that it was around me until I started wanting to help myself, which was back in 2019 when I became a mom. And, you know, motherhood, we are both mothers. So if anyone gets it, we get it. We know the struggle. We know what it takes to put something other than yourself first, because it's a beautiful thing. We are creators, all of us, but women are closer to divine because we help and create life. We hold life within us. We birth. We are so divinely and deeply connected to source that our intuition is a part of the reason why most of our kids can't get away with things, or people in general, especially us spiritual baddies. Okay, you can't be getting away with nothing with us. Okay, because I just want to tell you one thing. We gonna feel it, we gonna hear it, we gonna see it, we gonna know it already. And the craziest part is we're gonna dream about it. Definitely. We're gonna dream about it. And I do want to say that throughout my times and experiences through this past, I would say, awakened life, the past 5 years that I've continue and will continue to mention in these podcast episodes, that the numbers, they flood you, and it comes a point where you have to break down and feel like you are going insane. I don't know if you want to explain what the matrix is to people, or in your definition, because I have a definition of what the matrix is.
I don't have a definition for the matrix actually, but I feel like I feel like a lot of people are like, well, why do we see these numbers? Why do we see this? Why do we see that? Why are there synchronicities? And I feel like numbers is one of the most easiest things to like put in front of you. We're in front of numbers every day, all day long. And
We
especially living in like capitalism, how else is the greater being supposed to contact us? aside
exactly.
aside from numbers, in our waking life. Obviously when we dream, that's a different story.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Matrix. When I hear Matrix, I think of that guy in the jacket.
Bitch. You know what? It's absolutely true, though. There was some truth behind the Matrix, because whether you agree or, we can agree to disagree, but a lot of what Hollywood has put out there, there's subliminal. There's a
Oh,
lot of
absolutely.
subliminal things. And the Matrix, in my definition, is it's a playing field that we're on. And we, as like us, our spirit, our outer bodiness, or as you can say, like, because we're in the 3D right now, so
Hmm.
we're on one playing field right now. When we go to sleep, we're on a different playing field, and that is the 5D, because we go out of our body. Matrix in itself is someone who, I would say, corporate cookie cutter. They follow a mindset where they're okay with being told what to do. They're the sheep.
Okay.
And it's not to say that that's a bad thing, but when you are, what's the word I should say, groomed a certain way, like society has groomed or tried to brainwash us, control our content, the things that we believe in, especially taking our hope and our faith away from us. I truly believe that when you get out of being in that confined box that someone is just trying to put you in, so many things open up, which is why I like to say, oh, your third eye finally opens up. Like your heart chakra opens up. You are now seeing things that you've never seen before, you've never known before, in a higher level of frequency that you didn't know could even be possible. You didn't think these things could be even imagined until you hop out of it and you decide that you want better for yourself, that you by all means are going to put that belief back in yourself and work on those childhood traumas and generational things that have been placed upon you, because you're the one who's supposed to step into that power to help change the lineage. Like, they gave us that term Mexican. That's not us. We've talked about this multiple times about how we are of the land and we are indigenous. Whether we like to believe it or not, it's been such a beautiful experience to learn from your insight as well, because many years we have spoken about how this is our land and we have ancestors who have been here for millennial. When we walk this land and when we are given our wings back, we just soar, we fly, and we are taken beyond universes and galaxies. Our brain, our minds begin to expand. But of course, like always, there's a point where we crash, because we, as a human being, we're here for the experiences to understand our life path. When we were up in Iowa, we were talking with Gabriel about our life paths and our journeys. I think it was such a very open and beautiful conversation that we had about, how many times we've been on this earth, what we know, the knowledge, how many times we've woken up,
Right.
because
We used numbers to figure that out. We literally
yeah,
we
exactly.
did the math and the math was mathing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so far, I don't know if you want to share your life number. My life number is 8. So I've been on this earth 8 times.
I don't remember what mine was. I don't
We're gonna
remember.
have to look that up.
Yeah, I'll have to freaking message him and ask him, Mr. Gabriel Guru here.
Where's the fucking calculator?
I feel like I've been here many times.
Here we go. Let's type in Paulina's birthday.
I always crack the joke too, like when I'm here, that when I die and go back to the ancestral plane, I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to the lady in HR, because this was ghetto. This was so ghetto.
This is crazy. Do I have to come back? We create our own personal hells. That's whoa, that must be, I think that's going to be
Yes.
another time for another topic.
When
But
when
your
when Janae said, "Hell isn't a place, hell is other people," I felt that. I was like, "Oh, Miss Girl,
yes,
you
yes,
better."
it's true. So you're like me. Your life path number is 8, girl. It would make sense because another thing that I'd love to talk about, your soul tribe. Your soul tribe is basically every time you are reincarnated, if that's what you believe, if you are reincarnated on this earth, you are placed with all your souls in different bodies. For example, you know how I like to say, I'm pretty sure my dad was my enemy in my past life because we have, and you know what? And that's not even to say like I have major daddy
Oh,
issues. It's not, but what I'm saying is like that there's been a lot of tension, different things. Also because he's a Gemini and I'm a Scorpio. My mom's a Scorpio on the cusp of Libra. And when you've got a mix of Gemini and Scorpio, like I am, girl, it's hard up in this house. It's hard. In the life that we lived before, you were with me, just like my sister, just like my daughter. I think that just the thought of that can be comforting, but yet also like, who are we going to be next time? Who am I going to be and what am I going to look like, dude?
I feel that, honestly. I really do feel that. Like, I feel like my sister was probably like my enemy in my past life, but not for like my whole life. Maybe like half of my life. Because once she got a little older and like we hung out a little more, I'm like, you know what? Despite all the things I ever said about you, you all right. You are okay.
When it comes to these synchronicities, a lot of us don't understand or we're not open to the idea of how we go about these things. The knowledge that you have, the inner wisdom within you, that intuition, everybody has it. There was a few times where I would feel that I would see my numbers, 222. Anytime I'd see my numbers, that's how I know that I'm being led down the correct path. The choice that I just recently made, the thoughts. You have to remember what it is that you're thinking during those times. And sometimes it can be hard to recall. But when you're in a state of blissfulness, the nothingness that I have mentioned earlier in previous episodes, that is divine. That is connection. That is source. When we are completely ourselves and we take the time to get to know ourselves, it flows and we're able to see these things even more so. We get thrown off our paths, regardless the energy that is within us, the soul contract that we came down here to live through. We are still in this body and we are still trying to do the best that we can every single day, especially when it comes to mental health, our physical health, and our emotional health, which is of the well-being. How do we know that we are on the right path when it comes to these things? Using your intuition is one of the most important things. How do we learn how to use our intuition? It's about the pattern. It's about the choices that we've made. If we notice that it's a karmatic loop, if it's a loop that we feel, hey, this is deja vu, like, I think I've been through this before, take a moment and recognize that deja vu. If you've been through this before and it's like a dream, in that feeling, do you feel that it's comfortable as in you're moving forward? Or do you feel you're taking a step back? I feel that deja vu has always led me to feeling that I am absolutely where I need to be in every second of every day. There's been a few deja vus, I think probably back in the day when I was like maybe 16 or 18, that it felt a little weird. It felt like I was going through the same things over and over again and I wasn't really learning because I wasn't picking up on something. When we do have these deja vus, that's also not only source connecting with us, but we're getting pieces of our higher self, that energy of future. We can be in alignment on the timeline when it's for us. We know because we receive those signals, we receive those dreams of our ancestors, and they're there with us dropping the breadcrumbs. Any of you that are listening in that do follow me on Instagram, I recently posted on my story about how when I was at the gym, that I found a quarter. And this quarter was a specific special quarter. And 2020 is when I woke up spiritually. And I think for a lot of us, there is so much heavy trauma when it comes to 2020. We were all heavily affected during that time, and it made us feel enclosed in a space that we had to stay with either family members that were sick or we were sick, in a household that wasn't very, let's just say, healthy for us to be in during those times. A lot of things were brought to us sitting alone. We had to face a lot of mental and emotional trauma during that time. As I like to say, I would never want to have my midlife crisis in my 40s. I'd rather have the midlife crisis now or the pre-midlife crisis, and understand myself better, so that way, as everything is coming up like it did in 2020 for a lot of us, that we can learn how to maneuver ourselves better and grow with ourselves. And the most interesting thing that came out from 2020 was to know that mentally it did take a toll on everyone. But the drinking, the drugs, the whatever it is that people were doing during those times and not wanting to face what was actually coming up, those people now, I don't know if you agree, but the shift between masculine energy and feminine energy, of course, non-gender specific, I'm just referring to a big shift in the energies that have taken place. I definitely feel that the COVID era had a lot to do with this, and some people still don't want to face what they need to. Moving on to the subject of our ancestors guiding us down this path, and our higher self guiding us down the path of rebirth. We are the phoenix. We come up from the ashes. There are moments where we have found ourselves during our adult life where we are burning bridges with people, or that we are moving forward in careers or taking risks or not. Some of us are just not. And again, our lives are our lives, and we should live them as we please. But if there is something deep within you that is trying to get you to wake up, like I said in my first episode, a call is coming from inside the house, people. Yeah. We got to answer it. We got to answer what is this buildup, this tension, this anger. We got to ask ourselves what's really going on here, so that we can see the synchronicities. We can see that our ancestors are there guiding us and helping us through these tough times. Was there ever a time in your life that, because we're going to play this game, do we see the ghost or not? Have you seen anything that has been completely unexplainable in your life, like entities or your loved ones coming back to visit?
Fortunately enough, I have not experienced a loss in my life that has affected me to the point to where I could appropriately mourn for them. But there has been like a number of times where I have seen beings, I have seen shadows, I have seen things to where it causes me to stop and literally stare in the direction that I'm seeing this, because I'm questioning, am I awake? What is going on? Am I okay? Is there an intruder in my home? Like, what is going on? The natural thing for a human is to be logical before they jump to something spiritual. And I feel like it's often like that because, one, we're raised to ignore spirituality. And two, I feel like as humans, we're afraid of things we're not familiar with. So naturally, you want it to just be another person, because people are less scary than spiritual beings. There was a time where my spiritual self was being attacked through my dreams. Like, my dreams were the number one things that I was being attacked on, and I've always had extremely vivid dreams, extremely long dreams, or at least they feel really long, to where I wake up exhausted rather than rested. There's one in specific that I feel like I'm being like pushed to share. So there was a time when I was living with my parents. I was asleep, obviously, in my room. And I've always had this weird thing about closets and mirrors in my room. If I have a closet in my room, I make sure my door is shut before I go to bed. It's just always been something that I've done. It hasn't been taught to me, but it's just something that I've picked up. Well, this specific night, I know I shut my my closet door, and my parents' house is a little bit older, so they had those heavy wooden doors that would slide. And because my parents gave our house the landlord special paint job where they painted literally over everything, the closet made the most noise when it opened. So anytime it would open, you would know it's opening. It's loud. So I'm sleeping and I hear my closet door start to open, and I at this point, I feel like my eyes are open, but some would call this a sleep paralysis, but I could see the light was on in the hallway. So as I'm resting, I hear my door open, and out of the, like, I'm looking up, I can't move. So I'm like this, looking, and this being steps out, and I immediately start to freak out because it looks, I could literally see this. I wish I was a great artist. I would sketch this thing and show you guys, but it was not, the being was not of this world, and it wasn't a good one because there was fear in my heart when I seen it. And I'm trying to yell for my mother, and the being looks at me, and he kneels down, it kneels down into my face and tells me, like, you can yell or try to scream all you want, but no one will hear you. And like, I literally broke the sleep paralysis, and I yelled for my mom, and then she came, but before she came, the being literally looked behind him and then looked at me and then went back into my closet. And my mom came in and she's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I was like, dude, I just had a really bad dream, you know? And I sat up real quick, and my closet door was open just as much as it was during my sleep paralysis. It's just stuff like that. I think the best advice that you can give somebody is to believe yourself. Do not question your reality. Do not question your actions. If you know for a fact you did something, it's because that you did. Believe your actions, believe what you did, believe what you said, because yes, you did, you know? So that was just one of the things for me that was just always a trip. And I kind of want to touch back on synchronicities of the numbers, because I feel like having certain people in your life, your experiences start to change. And I, for the longest, when I was not in the best space and like having certain people in my life, I noticed that I stopped seeing the synchronicities. I stopped having meaningful dreams, and my nightmares became more violent, more vivid, more to the point where beings were touching me in my sleep. Like, I could feel them in my wake life as someone's touching me. So I feel like in that way, it's important to trust your intuition, trust the numbers that you're seeing, and believe it. And even if you don't want to believe in the mumbo jumbo numbers, in here in your body is where you feel it. Do not ignore your senses. Don't ignore your intuition, because it was given to us to protect ourselves. When I see people, and oftentimes it's women, I see women ignore their intuition all the time, or they're constantly questioning whether or not what they're feeling is okay or if it's valid. It is, though, because like you were saying earlier, we're closer to the spirit realm than any other being, and that's simply because we do give life. We literally have a portal between our legs. Like,
that's what they say. That's what it's called.
It's a legit thing. So when you feel something, when you even for me, it's over the years, I feel like as we get older, it will be more intense. But for me right now, at my age, it went from just straight intuition to me hearing it, like having a random thought in my head where I'm like, that's not what you mean, but okay, we'll just go with whatever it is. Like, it makes me aware up here, and then also I smell things, and that's the one that I'm having trouble kind of like accepting, because I'm like, am I pregnant, or am I for real experiencing this right now?
You said, I'm a little scared,
right? I'm like, hello, like, but there are times where the number one smell that I smell is random tobacco smoke, and I don't know I don't know why I smell that, but those are also signs. If you smell random things, if you get a random whiff of something, there is a being. You need to not acknowledge it, but just make a mental note that there's somebody in your energy field. There's just so many things that play into being a spiritual person, and I feel like the more open you are, the better understanding that you'll have. I get that it's not for everybody, because it is a heavy thing to realize that
Mm-hmm.
we're not the only beings on this earth, but we are very much so spirit in a human form, and not a lot of people can accept that. I don't know. It's a very vast thing, and there's so many things that you can talk about and so many theories you can come up with. But dude, shit's a wild ride.
Honestly, it's only going to get crazier. But for those of you who don't know me, an actual person, I'm turning 30 this year, saying goodbye to your 20s. And the death, as in the rebirth, I'm going to start a new era, a new life. I just want to say to those of you out there who are listening in right now and thinking, how can I get to where I need to be? Or how can I even begin to trust myself? The thing about trust is you have to build it. We lose a lot of trust because people unfortunately lie. I love to use the whole quote about the only lies that ever hurt us are the ones that we tell ourselves. So, and especially because when we're trying to inflict pain or trauma onto people, those lies are hurting those individuals as well, because hurt people. But at the end of the day, the more you lie and you act that it's casual and that you begin to believe those lies that you're telling yourself, you're growing to a certain point and then you're capping yourself of all of your power, all of your inner wisdom and the energies that flow within you and all around you. And that's a big thing that I feel that people aren't ready to hear, because the blockage is literally, like I said in the last episode, it's literally coming from inside of yourself. I don't know if you believe in it, but I do. Believing is seeing. Right. You have to have that feeling, that inner, like I said, that inner knowing, that deep rooted thing that is coming from within you that wants to be let out, that unconditional love and light. And it's not always love and light, people. And you got to run around in the dark before you can get to the light. It's a very important experience to have, and this is the human experience to have. The story that I feel that I'm being called to share was dating this person at one point in my life, almost 2 years ago. How my senses and knowing my truth, the gifts that we've been given, clairvoyancy, I didn't accept them for a very long time. I only would accept the fact that I could feel and that I knew. That I had good intuition. I knew what intuition was, but I was lacking the discipline on how to create a better space and what they call a spiritual hygiene. And I would practice on people and I would test it, and then I would be right. I would go out and I would do something being young and dumb, because we're all young and dumb. We got to live through that life. I would really feel myself starting to understand that I was getting a weird feeling from the people or the crowd that I was in, or something was going to happen, and then boom, it would happen. So, going back to this person that I was with in these dreams, when I was with this person, I knew that this person wasn't good for me. I was aware that I really needed to focus on my own situation, my own life and my career. I was already trying to push forward in those areas of my life. And one thing happened and then the next, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And it led to us, coming together in a situationship style. And we were on the phone with each other one night, really late. And I remember he was telling me that he sees this man in his room, or he sees this entity around.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And I believed him. I never make anybody think that they're crazy for believing in these things or seeing these things, because I have seen numerous things in my life, including my ancestors, that come into my house that have crossed over to the other side. But this entity was a very heavy, negative, almost demonic, maybe if that it was, that was attached to this person. When I say that the imagery that I was receiving, the downloads that I was receiving just from my phone being like this and speaking to him, I already knew what this thing looked like. I already could see it. And that person freaked out because I was not physically with him. I have never seen anything of the sort. He's never told me this story before prior until that day had come. I explained to him, I was like, oh, the man that's standing there that's staring at you, right? And he was like, yeah. I said, he has yellow eyes. It's really eerie, and I think he thinks it's funny, but it's not funny. And I think he's trying to, and I wasn't trying to scare him, but I was like, he's trying to attach himself to you. And I really need you to be careful because that thing, whatever it is, it's not human. And he started to make a joke about it, and that, no, the only thing that you're seeing is the anime that I'm watching, right? And I was like, oh, okay, cool, sure, whatever. And then a few minutes later, he was like, Carly, you were right. I didn't want to believe you. I got scared when you were talking about what I was seeing because no one has been ever able to see what I'm talking about. No one ever believes me. And I said, well, I do. These are things that truly us divine beings, because we're all divine beings, we're all of the divine. When we unlock certain, as I call them, powers, certain gifts, we start to dabble in things that are so unexplainable to the mind, to a person who, like I said, cookie cutter, doesn't understand, wouldn't want to even fathom or believe that this is possible. And for a long time, I struggled with that acceptance of myself, that those things were actually happening. Those things were real. And in real time, over the phone, it was happening. And I couldn't control it. It's something that I couldn't not stop myself from saying. I had to warn that person. I had to let him know that that thing that's there was not helping him in any way, and was not a friend. It was a foe. Again, like I've mentioned before, my ancestors, they come and visit me all the time. I've seen all of my grandparents actually in my house. Not to say I've got a haunted house or anything, because there's gonna be that, and
they're everywhere at once. Either way, whether you can see them or feel them or not, they're there.
I really feel that that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that spirit will show up how they want to.
Yeah,
you don't get to choose. If you get the smoky tobacco smell, that's how they're trying to show up. If you get to see something out of the corner of your eye, dark, if it's dark, careful. You got to feel for what it truly is. If they're clothed, like in all white, I've seen my grandparents clothed in certain things. Like I've seen them young. I've seen them different lights and views that they have wanted me to see. You know, my grandma has sat on the bed when I've walked by the room, and I just try to kind of catch that glimpse of my grandmother. As quickly as it's happening, it's already gone.
Oh, as quickly as it appears, it disappears. Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes you really want to sit there and just try to explain what is going on and why is this happening, or asking all these questions. But my grandma always used to tell me, I'm going to come back and visit you. This is when I was really little, like 8 years old. I'm like, Grandma, please stop. You're freaking scaring me. Like, I
get freaked out. She's like, please don't visit me.
Exactly. I said, okay, you can come visit me when I'm older, but don't do that when I don't understand it. You know, like I don't understand that. Somehow, the way that I grew up in my household, I've always felt that I've understood the meaning of life and death and what goes beyond it, because my mom said that when I was little, the things that I would say or the things that I would watch and do, it was like, I have been here before. It was, how is she comfortable with death? And Disney also had a big part in that because somebody was always dying. Somebody was always dying.
And being raised by a single parent. Like, Disney, what's up with that? Why are we promoting one-parent households?
There was nothing wrong with being a single parent.
No,
all right.
Absolutely not. No.
Exactly. Let's put that. Let me just put that out there real quickly, okay? But these gifts, these things that are deeply inside of us that we're ignoring our truth. Ignorance can be very blissful to those who do not want to see things for what they truly are or believe to see. Now, again, I'm not sitting here in this podcast trying to persuade you into spirituality or make you believe anything that you don't want to believe. You have every right to believe in what you need to and what is your faith, as long as you believe in yourself. But what I know is from my experiences and in my Reiki healings, I have also gone places. I have met archangels, because in everybody's subconscious, when they go to sleep, what we truly believe in is what we see. There's been multiple reports of people that have gotten Reiki healings or their dreamland when they go to their 5D dream world, that these beings are not anything human-like. And I can tell you that that is very true. I do want to share a story that I've shared with a couple of people. I don't know if I've actually shared this story with you. I'm pretty sure that I have. But there was one night where I went to sleep and I left Earth. My spirit guide took me to a completely different planet. How I entered the planet was even more so crazier than even just trying to fathom that I wasn't even actually on Earth anymore. I was taken underwater through depths and depths of the ocean. I saw so many animals passing me by, underwater creatures, whales, sharks, stingrays, and I was seeing this and it was real. I could breathe perfectly fine. It was like, I cannot believe this is actually happening right now. As I hit the bottom of the floor, or as the seafloor, or I hit the land that I'm on in this spiritual realm, in this other world, I am greeted with what seems like fish, like human, but also not human, because they had hand, like, you know, opposable thumbs and things, but there was gill and they could breathe and they looked like how we look, except for the fact that their skin color was different and that they had certain features that were more aquatic looking. You know, they had fin and they were almost like iridescent and translucent is a better word that I can explain it. Because there was a shine and there was something just sparkly and otherworldly. So I take the hand of who I know and recognize is my spiritual guide, and he basically is telling me telepathically, we're not even speaking, no mouths are being moved. He told me that he wanted me to come with him to his world and that he was going to show me what it was like. And it was very beautiful. It's almost like Atlantis, how Atlantis is this underwater city, and it's absolutely insane color wise, and just I couldn't even believe I was there. And when I woke up from that dream, I actually started to gasp from air, like from feeling like I thought I was drowning. And when I came back, as in came back into my own body, came back into reality, 3D, because where I was a different playing field, I missed it. And that experience is something that I wish I could revisit. Not that I can't. I'm sure eventually, maybe another time or place, or when it's right for me, I'll have another awakening. But that's another thing. These deep awakenings that, again, in our dreamland, we're being taken or being placed in. What does it all mean? Have you ever had a time in your life where maybe somebody in the dream world or dream realm was trying to speak to you and get you to wake up or go with them to another place?
I have not experienced that, but I have had people in my dreams speak with me telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think why I have not been able to really travel anywhere outside of like, how do I say it, like the earthly realm is because of my own blockage. Because at an early age, fear was introduced to me. And I feel like everything that I've experienced up until this point in my life was very strategic on the enemy side. Um, but like as I'm getting older, I'm slowly learning not to be afraid of certain things in the spirit realm, and I feel like that's why I've only been able to see shadows. I've only able to smell or like feel presence, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to like fully experience that, and I hope one day I am, but maybe I need to emotionally grow a little bit more to be privileged to even meet my spirit guide or travel to their home. But I feel like what I have been able to do, and I have done it for such a long time, is travel timelines.
That's a
I
big
know,
thing.
yeah, I've traveled timelines where I travel back in time. It's never forward, or I'm shown things, horrific things that are happening, and I'm assuming maybe it's in a different dimension
Yeah.
in the parallel universe, and I truly hope.
Yes.
But the things that I experience, I'm like that. This is where my doubt comes in. I'm like, please, I hope this is not going on in another dimension, because Lord, this is terrible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's just certain things that I experience which implants more doubt, more like skepticism. But
Mm-hmm.
like for the most part, I know it's all there. I know it exists. I've traveled I've noticed I also travel to events where I see houses burning, or I see or I'm arriving right after some sort of disaster. And it actually, like, now that I'm talking about it out loud and actually sharing it, it sounds really negative. Like my traveling is never like something positive. Like there are times where it has been positive, where I wake up and I feel like, wow, like there are times where I've dreamt I'm on the ocean and I see whales or I see dolphins, and it's such a blissful dream. But it's very
Mm-hmm.
rare that I have that. I have more of the like dread. I have more of like the real life things that happens that nobody really wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I'm meant to really emphasize and learn on that on those kinds of things. But yeah, I hope that one day I am privileged to travel to another planet or to another spiritual realm. um I've never seen my spirit guide, but I was told that by several people that I have someone with me always, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
lady. And these two different people that at first, when I first heard it, I was like, this lady full of shit, she done drank too much tea. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
the
like,
thing.
bitch, what do you know?
Right. And so, but there was another time where I met another person that told me the same thing, that this person that's with me is a woman, an elderly woman, and she's a herbalist. So that's pretty much all I know about her, that she's an elder, she's a herbalist, and she's a grandmother of some of way back when to me. So, um I'm sure if I ask, that's probably why I smell like tobacco smoke, because she's a herbalist and I smell it at random times and even in my own house, because a lot of people could say, well, you can smell smoke randomly if you're outside, but not if you're inside your own house and you know no one's smoking. So
Exactly.
yeah, so that's where I'm at with it. Like, I have random smoke smell, and then I looked it up one time and it said that if you have that smell, it's because your ancestors want you to like leave an offering.
Mm,
And
mm,
and again, I was raised in a Catholic home. So offerings and uh ofrendas, like all of that stuff is kind of looked down upon. And not to say that it's the wrong or the right thing, because everybody has their own thing and it's right for them. I'm
mm-hmm,
just having trouble and some conflict finding what I'm truly comfortable with. You know,
mm-hmm,
so everything that I'm opening myself up to, I make sure that it's beneficial towards me and my personal growth, my spiritual growth, because I also have somebody who's looking up to me now, and I want to be able to pass on all the good things that I've learned, and I strive every day to make sure that the generational trauma and the trauma of my own life experiences stops with me.
mm-hmm,
And in order for that to be fully effective, I have to be very selective with what I'm ingesting, what I'm opening myself up to, because I feel like spirituality is like, once you open that door, it could quickly rush in and like explode if you don't know what you're doing. It can become really negative really fast, because the beings that are bad want what we have so bad,
mm-hmm.
you know. So I'm just very overly cautious, and I feel like it's not a bad thing, but it also blocks, like, again, like I'm blocking certain things, and that's why I'm like at the pace that I'm at. But I'm okay with where I'm at, because I know that it's a lot farther than what I used to be, and some progress is better than no progress. So I'm okay with moving slower, and I feel like with every day that passes, I discover something new about myself, or I
Mm-hmm.
discover a new skill that I practice every day. And it's a beautiful thing. Like, it's so weird, because I think of myself like, um I talk to myself like I'm not myself. Like, wow, you're doing really good and like learning and growing, and I'm proud of you for being patient today with that situation, because normally you would not be patient with that, you know. So I feel like it's important to talk to yourself nicely too, you know. It just plays into a lot of different things. My bad, I went off on a ramble.
No, girl, it was absolutely beautiful. And what I love about this is I just love the respect that we have created for each other. Our friendship is such a beautiful thing. Not a lot of people can say that they still have somebody as their friend growing up in, the grade
Hmm.
school. So it's something that I know that even though we might not always be on the same page, or that we're, agreeing to disagree, it's very respectful state of, hey, like, boundary and standard
Hmm.
within our friendship. And I think for a very long time that I didn't know where I wanted to go,
Hmm.
because I didn't know who I was, only for the fact that of my family was growing up Catholic. Then they all of a sudden were Christian. Then, and I've heard it a couple of times on a couple of shows, certain movies that have come out. Every now and then I hear someone mention the collective, and I get excited because it's a bunch of information through the years and different histories, recorded things throughout religion. And it
Hmm.
doesn't even matter what religion it is. What matters is the piece of that, let's say, quote from the Bible, or the piece of what Gandhi has left in some of his sayings. If something is coming together and it is actually fitting my situation, and it is helping me grow, and it's a benefit to my being, just like you said, it's
Hmm.
actually taking me somewhere in a higher vibration, and it's bringing me peace and
Hmm.
comfort, and I feel in my intuition and my body that that is actually accurate and for me.
Hmm.
And the respects for each individual person on this planet for whatever it is that you believe, knowing that whatever is for you is for you. whatever you need to hear during that time, as long as you do not feel it is an ill intent, if it is coming from an energy of good, then I truly believe that in those moments, that is the guidance. That is the ultimate, the source, the divine speaking with us through different ways that we also might not really see it at that time. These beings, your ancestors, have you ever noticed that sometimes you might run into a person and you're like, oh, wait a second, that person kind of reminds me of my grandma, or that person kind of reminds me of my grandpa, or I haven't seen that friend in a very long time. It's almost like doppelganger. Like, you see people that look like people and you start to freak out because you're like, whoa, this person has crossed over, you know, RIP, bless them and their soul. Or this person I completely removed out of my life. I haven't seen them in forever. And it's like, now they're here. What does it mean? What's going on? When I spoke about spiritual warfare and the things that actually happen in real time with evil versus good, right in front of us, there may be some skepticism from what I'm about to say, but there has been multiple times where I've been on the check stand and I've been placed in front of very negative people, very hateful, gross, energetic people. Just like I said in my last podcast, they're gray. This cloud is just around them, and it's their being that makes them feel ugly.
It's their very essence.
Yes, it's their aura. Yeah, their aura. It's their aura that's giving like gross, negative. We need to stay clear of that. But there's also been a lot of people who will catch my tattoo and they ask me questions because they're interested. Someone kind of tried to argue with me or kind of try to sway me a little bit about my own belief, or what does that even mean, or, you know. And again, I'm always cordial and I'm always like, hey, like, it brings me comfort. I feel like whatever brings anyone comfort, that's what they should be following, you know.
I've noticed like the people that make comments about spirituality or whatever it is and they're super religious, my theory is they're not happy in their religion, but they don't have the balls to get up and go follow something else that they want. That's the truth of the matter. Because why are you, a whole ass Christian, Catholic, Pentecostal, whatever you claim to be, why are you taking the time out of your day to judge somebody else? That's not your job. That's the number one thing that God teaches you not to be, is judgmental. So just let everybody be what they want to be. If you're not happy, go find yourself, girl. Because why are you in my business?
Preach, sis. Because honestly, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before, if you got a problem with the way somebody else is living, it's because you got a problem with the way that you're living. If you got some type of hate towards somebody who's just trying to live their life merrily free, and you see something that upsets you from inside, ask yourself why now. Ask yourself that question. Why does this person trigger me? It's because what happens is the thing that person is doing, the person that they are, the career that they have, it's a dream career that you've always wanted. And you're seeing this person in real time and you've watched them excel and grow. But you're over here just hating. Yeah. And I think the worst part is it's the action behind the fact that those people took the risk. They did what they needed to do. Now look, again, everybody's story and path is absolutely different. Everybody's hardship are different. How we get to where we need to be in our own time, different. But it's never to say that you cannot. It's never to say that you can never get there. But again, your ancestors, your guardian angels. Now, whether you believe your guardian angel is the actual archangels, you know, Michael, Gabriel, or you truly believe that it's your grandma. I believe my grandma is one of my archangels. She's a very heavy guide from the other side. She sticks with me all the time. And again, my actual spirit guide, whether that is actually me from future self leading me to these places, or like I said, my actual guide who I met was a shaman, because he's actually healed my body in a ritual, in a dream. And that's when I met my spirit guide. And it was a beautiful thing. I truly believe that these energies are not here to harm us. They're here to help us. And just like how we are on this planet and we're experiencing these things in this human bodily vessel, we can't get anywhere that we need to be if we don't pick ourselves up and do it ourselves.
But too, I also noticed that a lot of people, especially today and age, they have a lot of entitlement, meaning like life owes them something, or like they expect people to feel sorry for them for the choices they've made. And when people don't feel sorry for them, suddenly they're not sympathetic, or they're the worst person ever. But me, I don't feel sorry for anybody who doesn't try and complains about their situation that they're in. And I understand that people are met with different problems, like financial wise, family wise, whatever that may be. Regardless of your situation, everybody has a choice. Because there was a point in time in my life where I thought I might follow the same path as one of my parents, and in me I knew that I was better than that. I wanted more out of myself than that. You have to want to seek knowledge. You have to want to grow as a person, and if you're not growing, and you're doing an injustice really to yourself and the people who believe in you, so
exactly. And I hear you when you say that, because there was a point in time where I too felt the same, because the trauma that I can remember that was placed upon, my dad throughout his childhood, when he came to me and I was 5 or 6 years old, I'll never forget it. He came home one night working very late, and I ran up to him to try and hug him. And, he must have had a bad work day or whatever it was. But the words that will stick with me for the rest of my life, that I've actually worked through, was, and this was what, like, quoted from, the old man himself: Carly, you're a Gonzalez, which means you're going to have to work 10 times harder than everyone else, which means that even if you don't get the promotion that you worked so hard to get, that your boss told you that you were going to get, and they give it to somebody else, it doesn't matter. You still have to work. You still have to be 10 times better than that person, even when you know that you're 10 times better than that person. So just know that you always have to work 10 times harder. And I took that and carried that with me for a very long time. I tried to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be, get the good grades, do these things, learn instruments, be good at art. When I picked up makeup, I had to be good at that. Anything that I've ever tried to learn, a skill that I was trying to impress my own parental unit, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with those choices. I wasn't happy with trying to please somebody else. I needed to live for me. I needed to do those things that I wanted to do, that I love, that were my passion. And in my household, I created a safe space for me to be able to understand that these people are always just looking to get a rise out of you, for the most part. If you're unhappy with your life, you literally do the fucking most just to also bring people down to your fucking level. And I told myself, never again. So when you learn to trust yourself, when you build that confidence, and I'm not even talking about cockiness, we're talking about confidence. Confidence is quiet. We walk in the room, but the energy's there.
Right. There's a shift in the room, like everyone, who is she?
Exactly. When you are cocky and you don't know what the word humble means, normally you are that loud, crazy energy that's willing to pop off at any time. And why would I know that? Because I've been that person before. I was there years ago, and I decided that that wasn't right. All the things that I went through, I had to heal these things, these inner wounds that I've been carrying for so long. Aren't most of you just tired of carrying around other people's fucking shit? And then it's also like, why would I want to do that? At the end of the day, everyone is here, and we're all supposed to be learning our lessons. We're all supposed to be growing. It is a choice. Every day you make a decision. Are you going to
Yeah.
do right by yourself, or are you just going to take the left? Yeah. I'm out of here. You got to fight. You got to fight through these depressive seasons, these episodes, these things that have been bringing you down and holding you down for years. When you learn to let that go and know that no, you are not growing up in their lifestyle. You are not who your parents think that you are. You don't have to choose that, because when my dad was like, oh, we'll always live paycheck to paycheck, I would hear that constantly. Well, we're always going to live paycheck to paycheck. We live paycheck to paycheck. I'm just trying to scratch out a living. A lot of us have only ever dreamed about owning a home. That is it. That is comfortability, because that is what our parents made it out to be. That is how their generation grew up, that we needed to get married, we needed to have a house, that we needed to be cookie cut and a certain way of living. But it's not like that anymore. It's 2025, and there are so many opportunities for us to be able to move in different energy and light and take ourselves out of the norm. The little things that build up over time into bigger things, that we're making them bigger things. And now, slowly but surely, we're tackling them. We're tackling them. And before you know it, you're living the life that you've always wanted. And you're truly happy. Even if that means you're still in that same household, they can't break you. Such a wide range that we were able to dive in and get some insights from your perspective and my perspective. It was such a great experience. And whenever, you are always welcome to come on to this podcast, Paulina. That's my best friend. Okay. Yes. We need that energy, that love, that unconditional love, baby. That's what I'm talking about. If you are having struggles within your own personal spirituality or which religion to follow, I want to let you know that you just need to believe in absolutely what is comfortable for you, no matter what that may look like for anybody else, especially the belief in yourself, no matter what.
Trust the intuition.
Trust yourself and know yourself, and that will lead you further into a brighter, happier future and well-being all around, mind, body, and soul. I absolutely loved you. I loved everything that you said. Thank you for coming on. It was such a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Ooh, you're welcome. This is us being moms. Literally. That's Moana right there. From watching freaking Moana 10,000 times a day.
You know what? Moana is that spiritual heifer, because she literally saw her grandma in the water. She acknowledged her spirit. Moana is a good movie. If you've never seen Moana, go get you a spiritual lesson from Moana.
Start watching some inspirational things. Start diving in to different types of religions and see where you feel that you should be placed and you're comfortable. I encourage all of you to look deep within this podcast. Again, there's a lot of self-work that comes with this podcast, and my purpose here on this earth is to trigger you people and to make you come home and wake you guys up. So once again, thank you so much, Paulina, for being on the podcast. It was truly a blessing. The pleasure is mine, baby girl. You know what I'm saying?
10 out of 10 would do again.
Don't forget to follow the podcast here on Spotify so you don't miss an episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and click that notification button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. This is the time where I say goodbye to my best friend. We will be closing out this podcast. This is the end of the episode. This was divinely guided. This was divinely guided. Yes.